Welcome to another vlog about the Seaman Life. In today's episode I will tell you about the work schedule that seafarers have to follow, and this is a very important topic. I have been asked this question before in different videos that I have posted in the past, and just so you know, even when you are at sea and you are sleeping at your workplace, of course we do not work 24/7. We have a contract, and this has to be recorded in a special program, which I will tell you all about it in today's episode of the vlog. So stay tuned, pay attention, especially if you are coming at sea anytime soon. When you are working on board a ship as a seafarer, you have to deal with a lot of commercial pressure. Nowadays, everything has to be done on a tight schedule, but even so, seafarers are allowed at rest hours. And as I said at the beginning of the video, this is the first thing that any inspector will check before anything else. Anywhere around the world, in any port, the rest hours have to be done correctly, and they will check this. This will be a very dire situation for the ship if they are not complete as they should. If there is any emergency on board, the seafarers have to deal with that situation, but the next day they have to be given a certain amount of rest hours, so they are respecting the company's rest hours, and they have to be ready to do the job for many months. We do not get to go home at 5 o'clock and rest in our own bed. The heads of each department are responsible with the work and rest hours. So for the engine room, the chief engineer is responsible with that, and for the deck department, the chief officer is responsible with the work and rest hours. But this is only in principle, because most of the time, 99% of the time, they will delegate somebody else. For the engine room, most likely the fourth engineer will do this, or engine cadet, and for the deck department, the deck cadet, or most likely the third officer. But first of all, the head of the department will teach them the necessary steps, and of course, after they have completed all the rest hours, they will be double checked by the captain before being sent to the company, and then they will be given to the seafarer at the end of each month. Any ship, depending on the company, has a special program that they use to record the work and rest hours, and each individual seafarer will get a printout at the end of the month. So this has to be done very well, because as you know, in the last few years we had the pandemic, and life on board for the seafarers was more difficult than usual. There were limited provisions, and most of the time not on time. We could not get out in any port that we wanted to relax, so there was a lot more work than usual, and the inspectors know this, and in the last few years there was more scrutiny, and they were checking the work and rest hours more than usual, and they want to know that the seafarers are well respected on board, and most of the time they should get paid for the overtime that they are doing, especially for tank cleaning or things like that. So be very careful with the work and rest hours. For people that do not know how is the Seaman life, or they had no interaction with this, when you sleep at your workplace, there is always something to do. So there is always work. And of course, if there is an emergency on board, we will have to fix that, or if there is a tight schedule with the loading or discharging of the cargo. But the next day the seafarer must get some rest hours. So during 24 hours, the seafarer is allowed to work maximum 14 hours, and he is allowed to have 2 breaks of 5 hours each. But during a whole week, a seafarer is not allowed to work 72 hours non-stop. So depending on the emergency, we will have to fix that thing, but the head of the department has to give the proper rest to the seafarers that they were working on the thing to be fixed. Like for engine room, if we have an emergency, of course we cannot leave the ship in the middle of the ocean because we have to rest. But be careful. Of course, it will be a red flag for any inspector if you have in your work and rest hour schedule 2 hours of sleep, 3 hours of work, 1 hour of work, 3 hours of sleep. What is this? Nobody will believe that this is true. You will be caught red-handed, and there will be a fine or even detention for the vessel. I do not believe that anybody can sleep in 1 hour. Like I said in previous vlogs, it is very hot on board, and of course when you go in your cabin you have to take a shower, then you have to eat a little bit. So from 1 hour of rest, maybe you have to sleep 30 minutes. And how can you fall asleep? Of course there is noise on board, so nobody will believe that. So do not try to fool the inspectors, because they are very smart and they know better than that. In case there is an emergency on board, like we had one time when I was on board a vessel, on board a tanker, we had an emergency with the main engine. One of the pistons was not firing anymore. The main engine had 6 pistons, so of course this is very problematic for the ship. We had to stop the vessel in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Fortunately, it was a sunny day, it was a beautiful day. We were in the south hemisphere of the Pacific Ocean. As you may already know, the Pacific Ocean is the biggest ocean in the world, and we were very lucky to have a sunny day, because if you have a stormy day, if you are in the winter time in the ocean and you have to stop the main engine, the depth of the ocean is about 5-6 kilometers. There is no way to drop the anchor and you are just floating. And to float around the ocean without a main engine, it's a very bad situation for anybody, and I do not wish this to happen to anyone. Because it will be a very scary situation. So if you have something like this, you will stipulate it in your work and rest hours why you had to work overtime, and any inspector will be understanding, and there will be no issue for the ship as long as you are being true and you do not try to fool him in any way. There will be no issues for the vessel. When you come on board, the captain or the chief engineer will give you a user and a password to log in this work and rest hour schedule program. And usually at the end of your shift, for me as an electrician, I finish my job at 1800. After I finish, I log into this program and I put my work and rest hours. So I start from 8 to 12, from 12 to 1300 it is lunchtime, and then another work program from 1300 to 1800. That is my work schedule, and each seafarer has to do this. Of course, if there is no emergency or no maneuvering or no other things to interrupt this process, you have to do it maximum the next day at 10 o'clock. Before 10 o'clock you have to finish this and hand it over to the captain for the previous day, in case you did not have time the previous day. But this is only in principle, like I told you. Usually we train the cadets to do this because as engineers we are very busy, and there is a lot of commercial pressure and everything has to be done very fast, and we train the cadets to do this for us. But whenever we have time, we do it ourselves. I try to do it myself as much as possible. So at the end of the month, before sending the work and rest hours to the company. The captain and usually the chief engineer or the chief officer will assist him with this to double check that everything is done in good order and there are no non-conformities, like it's called. In the last 7 years I have been working only on chemical tankers, but all the ships have this, no matter the type, if it's either a Roro-Pax or a bulk carrier or a tanker. All the ships have some type of software to keep the work and rest hours, and all the inspectors will check this before anything else. In principle, the inspectors want to see that the company is respecting the rest hours stipulated in our contracts. When you come on board, you have a contract that it says you must have a maximum of 40-50 hours per week. So this is what they are trying to do, to assist us that the company is respecting our rights and everything is done according to the contract that we signed. So this is what I had to tell you about the work and rest hours, in case you were curious, or maybe you will be coming on board anytime soon. Don't forget to like this clip if you enjoy it. I await eagerly your comments in the comment section down below. If you want me to approach another subject regarding the Seaman Life, everything is about the Seaman Life. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you will subscribe to the channel for more of this, more of the Seaman Life, and any future project that I might approach. Thank you very much for your patience and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.